Hello everyone. We are going to get started. We do have a pretty tight program today, so to those who are still getting a bit of food, no worries. Feel free to wrap up and make your way back to your seats. But thank you, everyone. It's so great to see you all today. It's wonderful outside. The weather is great, so I think we're really lucky with the weather today. So thank you for joining our 8th annual Capital Pathways cohort, Capital Pathways celebration, and. My name is Kalia Shong, and I am the Capital Pathways Program Manager. So to those who are long-time friends of the work that we do, it is really great to see you all again. Every year, this event is one of my favorite ways to kick off the summer. So I am really glad that I get to enjoy this day with you all. And to those who are new to the program and here with us for the first time, welcome. I truly hope that this is the first of many future opportunities for us to gather together so that we can uplift and support our young BIPOC leaders in policy, which is exactly what we are really here to do today, right? To really celebrate this year's Capital Pathways cohort student and to learn how we can invest in their growth and in their leadership as they continue on their journey forward from here. And when I think about all of the possibilities of what is next for our students as they continue on from our program, all I really have to do is to look to our alumni and to all the different and impactful ways in which they have already carved out a space for themselves to influence policy, either if it is at the Capitol or whether it is as advocates or organizers in community. So when I look out to this room and I see the faces of our students and of our alumni, I am so excited to see and to know that these are the faces of the people that will be helping us shape a brighter future for our communities and for the state of Minnesota. So this year's theme, celebrating our leaders of today and our leaders of tomorrow, really marks a crucial juncture for us and for our students and alumni. As we gather to celebrate our emerging student leaders of tomorrow, and as we celebrate the tremendous work that has already been completed by our leaders of today, our alumni, we will celebrate the torch of leadership passing from one group to the next. Later on, you will actually get to hear directly from some of these leaders as we have a super engaging student panel conversation planned. And we will also be inviting an alum to come up to the stage and say a few words. So stick around because this is something that you definitely do not want to miss, to hear from them and their bold ideas and perspectives about how we can all work together to broaden access to policymaking to our communities. Before we get started, I do want to talk a little bit about Capital Pathways, to share about why it's such a unique program, and to also thank some very special people that help make the work that we do possible. So Capital Pathways is a program of the Citizens League where we are committed to building a stronger state by engaging everyone in civic life and public policy. We do this by engaging many different voices, activating participation in the process, impacting public policy making, and building a strong foundation to advance this work. And Capital Pathways perfectly brings these values to life by developing the leadership of our BIPOC students, engaging their voices in the conversation, and connecting them to the policymaking process. This work is so critical and is so necessary to moving the needle forward and creating a more inclusive state. And it is also work that is more than any one of us can do alone. So we would like to thank the many driving forces that make what we do possible. To our 32 host organizations, thank you for your mentorship and for your support, helping our students navigate the legislative landscape this session. To our event sponsors, Frederickson and Byron, Southwest Airlines, the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits, the Minnesota Budget Project, Fresh Energy, Health Partners, Habitat for Humanity of Minnesota, Sarah Sternberger, and John and Maureen Knapp. Thank you all for making today's celebration possible, for believing in the work that we do, and we're so excited that so many of you are here today to see the impact of your support. And I also see many others in this room who have truly championed capital pathways in so many different ways. From our alumni to our program founders, who are all here, by the way, if we can all give a round of applause for them. Our funders and elected officials, thank you all for showing up and modeling what it means to center and make room for the voices of our young BIPOC students in policy. So throughout the past 5 months, our 32 students have really committed to growing and supporting each other during this shared experience. Since the pandemic, we have returned to the Capitol, and this year's cohort has been more deeply engaged than that had ever been before. They sat in meeting rooms and saw how policy work and strategy happens firsthand. They passionately worked to understand the legislative process. They fostered a strong sense of connectedness to one another, and they gained a deep understanding of how they can lead and how they can inform policy outcomes for their communities. And while it was not, and it continues not to be easy, being people of color in policy, navigating spaces and a culture that was really not built with them in mind, our students really met the moment by saying yes to participating in our program and by stepping into their leadership to build on the work of the many generations of BIPOC communities that have come before them so that they can continue to shift power and to create new spheres of influence in policy. So just as our students stepped into their leadership and met the moment, I ask each and every one of you in this room to meet the moment right now and to follow their lead. Let us all come together with a shared purpose of investing in their leadership and in a future that is more inclusive and more reflective of our diverse communities. In just 8 short years, it is clear to see how much Capital Pathways has already done to open access to policymaking. It is reflected in our impact, as since 2016, we have had 260 BIPOC students come through our program. And as we welcome this year's student cohort into our alumni network today, we are already thinking about all the different ways in which we can continue to support the many BIPOC students and leaders that will come after them, and how we can invest in their leadership and connect them to opportunity in different policy spaces. So today is a celebration, but it is also an opportunity for us and for you to invest in this vision together. We have a goal to raise $10,000 to support our student cohort next year. And we ask that you join us in helping keep this program and the doors to policy open to our young BIPOC leaders. Behind me, Jacob. Thank you. Behind me, you will see the different options in which you can give. So you can make a gift online by turning to the second or the back page of your program and using that QR code to make a gift directly online. Or you can also give by cash, check, or by using the donation envelopes at your table. And if that is the option in which you would like to give, we ask that you just keep it with you for now, and as you leave the event, just leave the envelopes at the table, and a staff member will come and pick it up. I'm super excited to share that we're almost halfway to meeting our goal. So if everyone in this room gives $50 right now, we will reach that goal together. So if you're able to give more, we invite you to do so. And if you're able to give $10 or $20, that too will also make all the difference. Because every gift, no matter the amount, really brings us one step closer to our goal and really is going to make all the difference. At the Citizens League, we are proud to have Capital Pathways be a vehicle for us to invest in the transformative leadership and change that is led by BIPOC in our community. So before we move today's program along, and some of you may already know, but I am so thrilled to announce that today, June 8th, has been proclaimed by Governor Tim Walz as Capital Pathways Day in the state of Minnesota. We are super proud to know that our state leaders and so many of you here with us today stand behind the work that we do, because when we believe in the bold ideas and the experiences and the vision of our young leaders, and we give them a voice at the decision-making table, we know that we can change outcomes and make Minnesota a better place to live for everyone. But you really don't have to hear this from me. I can say this all day. I think what's more important is for you to hear it directly from our student leaders. So I'm going to invite our policy director, Blanca Martinez-Gavinia, and our three student panelists, Moses Yazachu, Priscilla Mayoa, and Jack Peng, to the stage for a panel conversation on their experiences learning about the policy-making process this session, and also what and how are the ways in which we, both individually and as communities, can come together to support their leadership and to invest in their journeys forward from here. Everyone, please give a round of applause to Blanca, Priscilla, Moses, and Jack.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. I really had to think about those two steps. I was so concentrated and thinking to myself, please don't trip, please don't trip. So thank you so much for being here today. And I am just so excited to be a part of this process. I am always, every single year, even before joining Citizens League, this was one of the most exciting things that I saw happening in our public policy spaces. And just the transformation that this program has had in our community, I think it's something that not only today, it being an official Capital Pathway Day, but I think it's something that we should honor every single day in the difference that these young people are making in our lives and in the future of this state. So I want to introduce our wonderful panel today. We have Jack Peng. Jack Peng is a recent graduate of Macalester College, so congratulations. Jack majored in political science and international studies and minored in Japanese, so he had a full schedule. He was born in Taipei, Taiwan, and spent a lot of his schooling years in Los Angeles. He came to Minnesota and welcomed the winter as well. And his interests really lie in the public policy process and in foreign services. As a Capital Pathways student, he interned with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Next, we have Moses Yasachu. Moses is a rising junior and at the University of St. Thomas. He's double majoring in economics and business law. Moses was really interested in the Capital Pathways programs because he really was committed to having diverse representation in the spaces for Minnesota. As a program participant, he was paired with Work Strategic Consulting, HiCap, and he worked on quite a few legislative issues. After his undergraduate degree, he is planning to go to law school. It looks like you have a mentor already, so Juve is gonna talk to you all about it, and you can learn from all his mistakes, right? No, just kidding, Juve. He is a great mentor. Next, we have Priscilla Mayowa. Priscilla is a proud native of Lagos, Nigeria. She is an avid consumer and creator of stories, real and also imagined. So I look forward to seeing your published work in the future. She is also eager in learning and always trying to really braid creativity into all that she does, and believing that in policy, we need to have a narrative change as well as other important factors to change the world, and that is what she is doing right now. Through Capital Pathways, Priscilla interned in the city of Bloomington, and she's currently attending Metro State University and will be graduating this summer. So a round of applause to our wonderful panel this afternoon. So let's get started. My first question to you all is, throughout this experience, what were some of the most powerful learning moments and why? So Priscilla, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. This is big. Okay, so to answer the question, learning moments, oh my God. I learned a lot while I was at the city of Bloomington. It was a wonderful experience.
Sorry, we're getting a lot of...
Yeah, I know. But one thing that I really learned as a young person working in the city was about how power worked. And I think that that's something that is so important to learn when working in policy spaces. And I had not fully grasped that. I remember when I would be in power trainings and we would talk about it, and I'd say, I don't have any power. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this makes me uncomfortable. But when I worked at the city of Bloomington, I really started to really understand how it worked, not only just like power that comes with positions, but power that comes with like your skill set, or power that comes with how you move and how you navigate spaces. And as a BIPOC person, that was, I needed to learn that. And I was so glad that I was able to experience that, because now I fully understand how I move through the world and how I can harness not just myself, but the people around me, other BIPOC people like myself, because my cohort, shout out to them, really awesome people, how to really harness that power for good. And so that was, I think, one of my most powerful moments. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Moses.
So coming into session, I have taken political science classes in high school and in college, but I didn't exactly know what to expect being involved in the political process. And I remember at the beginning of session, we're brainstorming different policy solutions to different policy ideas. And it started off by just simple ideas, simple discussions, meeting with legislators. Then as we progressed to our session, we saw bills proposed about our ideas. Many of them failed, but at the end of the session, many of our ideas, things that we kind of just said or brainstormed in a typical, as we were trying to think of different policy ideas, and seeing it become law at the end of the session was very empowering and inspired me, because I saw that ideas really can become law. And if I see something I want to change in society, that a simple idea can go so far.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's a similar thing. It's just being in these spaces and watching the process, since the process of bills and meetings and things like that. I think like a bunch of meetings I went with, like to like meetings with legislatures when I was like within my internship, and like every single time I walk out of those meetings, and I will have like a bunch of things like written down in my notepad about like things I want to like learn more about, to research on my own. And then it was just like having that experience and the opportunity to like listen and learn about like the stuff that they're talking about, not just like policy, but also like, you know, like how things are navigated and like how people act and behave in that space. It's not something that you can like easily learn, and I'm really glad to have had the opportunity to do that.
Thank you so much, Jack. And I think the next question really expands on the first one. And it is, did your experience in the Capital Pathways program impact your understanding of the role you play in the public policy making process, and how? Priscilla, let's start with you.
Yeah, man, that's a good question, and I prepared for this, so I'll try to answer well. But again, back to that whole conversation about power. I don't know why you're doing that.
What should we?
Okay.
Let's turn the mics on.
Okay. Okay, I'm safe. Okay. So just coming back to power, I think really just having an awareness of my place in the world, right, really impacted me, because it's one thing to like talk the talk, and then it's another thing to like walk the talk that you're making, right? Like when you hear all these things, and as a young person on social media, you know, you get all the sound bites and you hear all these things and like, oh, we got to do this and do that to change the world. And you think you know all the right words, you think you know all the right ways to do things, and then you're in a space where you're actually given that power, right? You're given that opportunity, and it's like, oh, these people actually expect me to know stuff, right? They actually expect me to do something. And I really took that experience in my knowledge of public policy and my knowledge of how like local government works, and I really expanded that. And so now I know more. Like I worked in the community development department at City of Bloomington, learned about how local government worked in that way. But I know about planning because my cube mate is a planning technician. And so now I know how like planning rules work and how they actually impact housing policies for BIPOC people, right? In the city of Bloomington, how like density works and how like all these different other things work just because of where I was, just because of the Capital Pathways program. And so don't ask me any questions about this stuff, but I can say for sure, right, that my knowledge has increased like tremendously. And in just 4.5 months, like you cannot get that in a college class. In fact, you have to write 10 papers to get that kind of knowledge. And so I'm really excited and really glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah, and I was surprised to find out about. Okay, we're good now. I was shocked to find out about how many different policy careers are out there. Like in the past, I thought that the only way I can make a difference is by being a legislator. And for many of us, we're like, we don't want to be legislators. Like, what else can we do? But you could be a researcher, you could be a lobbyist, you could be a staffer. And in those positions, you could do so much and cause great change.
Yeah, I think, I definitely agree. Like, I've definitely wrote at least 10 papers in college, and I definitely don't know any of them. Sorry, Leslie, I definitely don't know any of them. But I think, like, when it comes to like what I think my role is when it comes to stuff like this, I think a big part of like being a part of this session and like working through the internship, something that helped me realize is that like I have so many like different experiences, and that like this is just another one of those experiences that like not a lot of people have the opportunity or like the knowledge to even like access something like this, and that has like helped me gain so much more like a different type of knowledge than like I've gained in like, working with people in the like in the community or being activists or things like that. And those are definitely important, but I think I definitely found myself like in a new position of like helping bridge like these various gaps among like, I have a lot of friends who like, do a lot of like more activist nonprofit work, but I don't actually know a lot of people in like the formal policy space or like, in the legislature and things like that. And it has really helped me like find myself in like that kind of in between and being able to like bridge the many ideas being like thrown around in like those specific separate spheres.
And I think there were so many of those points that all of you touch in just the difference that it makes to be in these spaces and the difference that it makes to have these experiences, because I see that now these are stories that you can take with you, learnings that you can take with you and bring it back to your life experience and also share that with your communities. We all have a place of origin, we all have community, and just providing this space, we can see that impact and that ripple effect that continues to have even after this program. So with that, in creating spaces for young people, what do you hope can change or be improved in public policy process and spaces for young people like yourselves? And what are some steps that we can take to make these changes? I know that's a big question, but Priscilla, why don't we start with you?
Okay. I think I have a lot to say on this one. First of all, as a young person who has been fortunate enough to be in maybe decision-making tables or to just interact with people who are making the decisions, I just want to say that older people need to take a step back sometimes and just be quiet. And I say that to say that a lot of people like to say, oh my God, young people, you're so great. Share your knowledge. And it's like energy vampires. Like they just want to like take from us and hear what we have to say and take our youthfulness and our, all this stuff. But then when it comes to actually giving young people actual power, it's like, oh, you don't really know what you're doing. Let's teach you, let's nurture you. And it's like, that's cute. Like, I just like, what you're doing is wrong, right? And so for me, that is one thing that I would say. It's just like, sometimes when you say you care about young people, you want to see more of young people, actually give them the space. Like, actually give them the opportunity to flourish, right? Don't try to hold their hands, like, or think that they need to be, because people complain about, oh, there's a lot of hand holding. It's like, maybe if you didn't hold their hands, they will find their way, right? Like, instead of assuming that you need to hold their hands, you need to tell them what to do. And so that's my big thing. Like in youth spaces and places that you think you really care and you want to contribute, please give young people actual spaces. Like really think about and be intentional about how you're bringing young people in, about how you're giving to them to say. And one thing I'm learning in my program eval class, which is weird, but I'm learning to say, how can I help you versus here's how I'm gonna help you. And so I think that's what a lot of older people should take from this. Yeah.
So we heard that loud and clear, right? Everyone in this room, because I think that there is a lot of places and spaces where we need to share. I think it's about sharing power and taking that step back and understanding that when we share our power, it doesn't diminish our power, it actually builds it. And what does that look like? I think that's a great message for us to take home and sit with it. As loud and clear as it was, we can sit with it, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. If we're uncomfortable, then that means something is happening and we're making progress. So, Moses.
Yeah, and a large reason why this program was created is because there's not enough voices from underrepresented communities at the Capitol. We all know that's true, and that's why all of us are supporting this program. And it's shocking to know that this is the only paid program that provides BIPOC college students internships on Capitol Hill. Like, I think that's shocking. Like, there should be more programs like this. We need more people to support programs like this. Like, maybe one year we could have a quota of 50 rather than 32, because there is some important work that needs to be done. And another issue is that many of the internships on Capitol Hill that are outside of this program are unpaid. And for many students who come from communities where they can't afford to do unpaid internships, and if they don't do these internships, they can't get careers at the Capitol. So we need to expand. First of all internships at the Capitol should be paid. If you truly want to see more, oh yeah. If you truly want to see people from underrepresented communities working at the Capitol.
Yeah, well, they kind of took my points, but but I think just to go further on that, something I've realized, it's good that we're talking about, things like the importance of bringing like traditionally underrepresented people, or like, those people who don't have a lot of power, like historically, to like these spaces. But I think a big thing is like we don't quite as much pay attention to what happens afterwards. And I think I can understand why, because we've spent so long and so much time just to like get the door open, and that is still already a very difficult thing to do. But I think the thing that happens afterwards is a lot of the times, you get touted as like, we're very, like, these places are very open, we're very open to these ideas, we're trying to diversify ourselves, and it's great. And like, don't get me wrong, I do love to see that. But I think a lot of times, and I feel this, from like, in a lot of places, not even just like professional places, or like, just like in social situations or at school, or in like just any kind of place really, it's like a lot of times it's, oh, we done this, like, you're here now, we've done all we can, like, we've done our part, so to speak. And there's not a lot of like follow-up on that. And if you try to insert yourself into these situations and say like, hey, this is not enough, like, we have, this like country, this society, has like stamped itself against us and worked so hard against us in its history, and we are here trying to reclaim our own spaces. It's not enough to just say that you are allowing us to be in. Then there needs to be more. There needs to be a lot more than just we're open to ideas. It needs to be uncomfortable. It needs to feel kind of wrong, because what's like the status quo, like what is right now, is not good enough, and a lot of it needs to come with, and it will feel uncomfortable. But like I said, like Priscilla already said, she feels very uncomfortable every now and then. We feel very uncomfortable. A lot of this feels very uncomfortable, and I think yes, and everybody needs to feel some kind of uncomfort. It can't just be on us to be like, hey, we're in these spaces. What do young BIPOC people need to do now? And then I think it's just as important to say like, what more can you do for us to help us get there?
Thank you so much. So there's definitely a lot of wisdom there that we need to take home and sit within and continue to explore it. And as they all said, we need to do more. So what can we do? Each one of us can do more. So let's give them another round of applause and thank them for their time. And in that spirit of sharing space and celebrating their success and celebrating their leadership in their path that they're in and moving forward, we also cannot forget about our alumni. We cannot forget about all of the amazing people that have gone through this program and are making a difference every single day. They're working every single day to open access and forge a pathway in policy and in civic engagement. So with that, I want to welcome a Citizens League board member and Capital Pathway alum from 2016, Fatima Moore, to the stage. And just in terms of my work with her, it has been transformational. And she's like, stop it. But it has been just with her leadership, we've been doing such great work in our policy committee with some of the other board members, and in really thinking about what is the role that we play in the public policy space here in Minnesota as an organization, and the critical work that needs to happen. And that has been with a lot of the leadership and wisdom of Fatima. So let's welcome her to the space. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. So I'm going to find my talking points as well. Well, as Blanca said, I am a board member, and so I get to, I wonder if I should walk over here. Yeah, okay. I get to serve in dual capacities with the league, one as a board member and then also as an alum. I was a part of the original cohort for the Capital Pathways internship program, and I see a lot of the founding members of the Capital Pathways program in the room, and I just want to give a shout out to those individuals because truly what they developed and created is not only what the state of Minnesota needs and frankly what other states in the nation need generally, but it has literally increased the number of diverse people who are walking the halls of the Capitol. So I know I don't want to put you on the spot necessarily, but if you could stand up, please, so that we could give you a round of applause, that would be really wonderful. Come on. Yeah, there you go. These are some of them. This was like true leadership stepping up to the table, recognizing a need. Thank you. Recognizing a need and then stepping up to fill that need as well. So congratulations to the 32 students who've had an opportunity to participate in a pretty momentous legislative session as well. You've gotten to see and experience the legislative process firsthand, and at a point in which we have the most diverse legislature in the state of Minnesota. So like pretty historic what you all have experienced as well. I also want to welcome you to the Alum Network, where there are some pretty amazing alums doing systems-changing, game-changing work in the state of Minnesota and even nationally. I recognize, I think it was said that there are, 260 individual students with varying backgrounds and perspectives, lived experiences, et cetera, who've had a chance to broaden their perspective, even just base knowledge on what the legislative process is, and even through that have been able to perhaps even actualize that this is the type of work that they can see themselves doing as well. And now more than ever, we need more diverse perspectives, weighing in on public policy, weighing in on the research that needs to be done, weighing in on informing legislation, because that's how we are going to get a state in which the policies that are being developed support people's needs generally, regardless of what your needs are, regardless of what your backgrounds are as well. So the Capital Pathways has done pretty amazingly to create what, frankly, what our panelists also shared is a one-of-a-kind program that needs to be duplicated many times over as well. So again, my name's Fatima Moore. I'm an alumni. I get to call myself, for a very short time frame only, the Deputy City Operating Officer with the City of Minneapolis. And I'll just talk briefly about how I landed in that position. I landed in that position first starting out as a government relations representative, so doing the lobbying work for the City of Minneapolis, essentially. And then COVID hit, and then I applied for the director role. So a really short time frame, I was able to go from lobbying and being with the team to working and leading the team, both at the local and the state and federal level. And I'll share sort of how I thought that was never a reality for me in the first place, let alone that I never knew that this type of world even existed, if not for the Capital Pathways program. But first, when you look at the Minnesota legislature, you'll notice that there is a steady change, right? We're increasingly becoming a more diverse body, varying perspectives as well, backgrounds. There are legislative members whose parents were legislators, and they therefore became legislators themselves. There are members who are first-generation immigrants, right? They come from immigrant families. There are members who are multilingual, single mothers, business owners, and the list really goes on. And so when you think about that, the diverse nature of our legislature, then imagine if we had a similarly diverse group of people who were helping to inform and craft and mold policies that come out of that body. Well, that's why it is so essential that we have a diverse group of people walking the halls of the Capitol who are helping inform these legislators and the range of backgrounds that they bring and the ethnicities that they bring and their lived experiences generally as these policies are being developed. And again, going back to the Capital Pathways program, it is a premier program, and it is really the only program that does that, with the caveat though, you get paid while you're doing that. A really key factor. And it's a key factor that makes the Capital Pathway program quite distinct from many other programs around there. It allows Black, Brown, and Indigenous students to gain a formative experience at the Minnesota legislature, and then you're getting paid while you do it. So that means, I feel like the panel took some of my talking points as well, right? That literally means that that's something you don't have to think about or worry about, because historically, internships are unpaid, and therefore, historically, those who participate in internships don't look like me, don't have the experiences like me, and certainly don't have the experiences of our panelists and our outgoing cohort member as well. So for me, this is a topic that I don't like to talk a lot. I like to work behind the scenes. That's where I'm actually most comfortable. But when it comes to the Capital Pathways program, it is a program that I care deeply about, not just because it's helped me realize my reality, but because I see the impact that it's literally having in real time on the policy development and formation in the state of Minnesota. So students get to do pretty amazing things in this program. For example, they get to work with Frederickson and Byron, right? Frederickson and Byron has offices nationally, internationally, all over the place. You get to work with people who have direct experience working at the state capitol in the past. Someone working on bonding, for example, right? Who can inform you, tell you the ins and the outs, and then simply give you advice if you're interested or not in advancing such a career in the future for yourself. For example, you can also get to work with state agencies like Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, which is the agency that I was partnered with. And because of that experience, for me personally, I know a lot about housing. And now when I put on when I'm talking to a legislator or I'm talking to a local elected official, they're literally looking at me as a housing expert, which I'm not as well. There's still a lot more that I need to learn about. But these are the types of real-time experiences and partnerships that one gets when participating in the program that makes it so wholesome. So for students, internships offer a range of benefits, including the opportunity to identify and clarify one's career goals, develop skills necessary for career readiness, and gain firsthand experiences in the workplace. For employers, potential employers, internships can serve as a valuable source of new hires. There have been quite a few interns who, after they've interned, have gotten permanent jobs with their placements, with their host sites. This, again, real-time experiences here. It also is enabling organizations to reach out to their potential hires, and studies have shown that internships help employers actually figure out solutions to retain existing employees. Again, really important value of this experience for people. So historically, access to paid internships has been exclusive and based on your family members, who you know, who you have connections with, or perhaps a mentor that you have a relationship with. This obviously has left a lot of Black, Brown, and Indigenous students, people, out of such experiences. I was doing a little bit of research because I was like, I like data personally. I like to have some numbers sort of prove or disprove what it is that I think I believe. And the National Association of Colleges and Employers surveyed in 2020 students and found that Black students accounted for 6.6% of the nearly 4,000 graduating seniors who participated in their survey. So of the 4,000 students, only 6.6% said that they participated in an internship, let alone a paid internship program. However, just 6% of the paid internships went to Black students as well. So think about who then is getting access to those types of paid internship opportunities. So when you also look at the data, you'll find that the similar numbers play out for Hispanic Americans. And then when you really want to dig down deeper to Indigenous students, like it's impossible to even collect the data because of how minimal it is. So what does research say? Research has found that paid internships benefit students in their job search in multiple ways, at least in terms of the first job post-graduation, more job offers, higher starting salaries, and a shorter search time. So as far as how I experience the Capital Pathways program, I just want to give you just a brief snippet into the moment in which, for me, this reality became a possibility. So for me, I had minimal knowledge about the happenings at the state capitol. I lived in St. Paul, and so I would drive by the state capitol repeatedly, look at it, and just say how beautiful it is, right? Like, it's historic. Many great things happen there. But for me, working in such a place was literally it was not an option. It was out of sight, out of reach for me, because I didn't know what was truly happening there. None of my family members were lobbyists or even are lobbyists. None are politicians or politician. Well, I guess since then I've had one family member become a politician. And none worked in the advocacy area either. But the moment when my viewpoint changed, I was about halfway through my internship placement, working at Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, driving on Highway 94, and I was in the car at night with my partner. And the view of the Capitol came in sight for me. It was all lit up. It was really majestic. The lights glowing, and I see it in view. And it caught my attention at that moment. I'd never seen it in such a way before. In that brief moment, I reflected on my experience, the experience I was having at Minnesota Housing Finance Agency. I reflected on what my potentials were ahead. What were the possibilities? What could I be doing when I ended my internship? And the great people I had already connected with during my internship experience, as well as the issues that I was getting to work on at Minnesota Housing Finance Agency that was exciting and excited me. And it was in that moment that the possibility of what's next and the possibility of what's next that led to me ultimately standing here in front of you became a reality. And I'll tell you that I would never, and I don't, people say this hypothetically usually, but I'm so serious, like for real, I would have never gotten that experience if not for the Capital Pathways internship program. So there's a lot of weight that they carry, right? There are a lot of this room could be filled with so many people, obviously, all of the alums who have made it through. So see, the Capital Pathways program literally opened up a new world to me. And it has done so for so many other students who have gone through the program. Alums are leading and engage on issues like access to affordable health care at the state and federal level. There are others working on economic justice issues, some who have and are running for public office, so some who are sitting in those halls, some who are sitting in our local elected offices as well. And some who, or specifically one who has even said yes to leading this program at the Citizens League, which is Kalia. So I will reiterate, this program is systems changing. It is a game changer. It is a catalyst for garnering inclusive and equitable public policies and legislation in the state of Minnesota because of the people that it inspires and encourages and increases the possibilities for. And you know what? This program would be even so much more, right? So much more, because what the panelists also touched on was, yes, we provide opportunities, folks to get internship, and they enter these spaces, and oftentimes students are uncomfortable in these spaces because there aren't a lot of people who look like us. So for those who have had an opportunity to host an intern, it's really important that you're paying close attention to them, asking them questions around what they need, because sometimes it gets really uncomfortable in some of these spaces. And so if you continue to support them even after they leave your host locations, check in on them, offer opportunities to them that you know of, that is going to help them even so much more. So I'll stop talking about me personally and all those things over there, and we'll turn now to congratulate this year's student cohort for their hard work, engaging in critical public policy issues this session, and to commemorate their successful completion of the Capital Pathways program. We would like to present them with the program certificates. If you are part of this year's Capital Pathway cohort, I'm going to ask you to please make your way to the front and line up near the stage to my right. And I will be joined by Kalia to pass out the certificates at this time. It's not me.
Call them, and then you can hand out the certificates and one journal per student. Yeah, you could be here or not be here.
I'm going to move it back. Move it back against the wall. Sorry.
We'll figure it out. All right, so to our students, when I call your name, please, and actually you all could kind of move a little bit closer so that the walk isn't so far. Yeah, come. All right. Yeah, when I call your name, please make your way up to the stage and receive your certificate and little gift from Fatima. And once you have received your items, you can make your way back to your seat, okay? All right, so Sundis Abdi. Is she here today? Well, I guess she couldn't make it. Joanna Ocasta Palmeros. Micah Cody.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Rashanae Ambers Wilston. Mena Falika. Jesus Gonzalez Reeves. Melody Herr. Selma Ibrahim. Genesis Maravilla Fernandez. Priscilla Mayoa. Abshir Mohammed. Amanda De Souza. Ola, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. Ola Rajo. Shelly Pacquiao. Jack Peng. Wiwin Suryani. And Moses Yazachu. Again, congratulations so much to this year's cohort. As you all heard from Fatima, you are going to be welcomed into an amazing, amazing alumni network. To stay engaged in the work that we do and at the Citizens League, we are definitely looking to open opportunities and to engage and to learn more together with you all. So thank you. And with that being said, I am going to invite our Executive Director, Kate Semino, up to the stage to say a few words and to wrap our program up for the night. Thank you, everyone.
Hello. Thanks, Uwe. Students, congratulations. A few weeks ago, I visited with you at one of your cohort meetings at the Good Acre. Thank you, Teresa and colleagues, for hosting us. And I asked you to reflect back on that moment when you learned about the Capital Pathways program, and maybe without really knowing what you were getting into, you decided to apply. And at that moment, you took a chance. You did something brave, something bold. You tried something new. And those qualities are still with you. Those are qualities that will be with you and will stay with you as you continue on your journey. You all know from your program here that the theme of today's event is Leaders Today, Leaders Tomorrow. And that's why I am so certain that our students who are completing the program today will continue to shine, because they are bold, they are brave, They are willing to try new things, and they are willing to speak their truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it feels a little bit like you're putting yourself out there. They are doing it. Thank you. So they are leaders today already, and they will continue to be leaders tomorrow, just like we've seen. And thank you, Fatima, for your comments and your story. Just one of 260 examples of our students who are leaders today and leaders tomorrow as they complete this program. So a brief personal story. About 8 years ago, I was in my former role at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs, and some friends and leaders who are all here started something new themselves. They were brave, they were bold. They took a risk and stepped out to create this Capital Pathways program because they saw that a change needed to be made and they were willing to do it. I have loved this program since the minute it started. Have always been a fan and supporter. And so about 3 years ago then, when I had the opportunity to take this role and come to lead the Citizens League, one of the highlights for me was that it was the home of Capital Pathways. And I was so excited to come and be part of this organization that had Capital Pathways as its flagship program. And to see it continue, it was thriving then. It was thriving 8 years ago, 3 years ago, it's thriving today. And it will continue to grow. And as many of you have heard, this is bittersweet news that many of you have heard, I will be departing my role later this summer. My family is relocating to another state. And I am sad to leave the Citizens League and these incredible people and this amazing network. But I know our next executive director, to be named, I don't have any news to share. The search is beginning. Our next executive director will be just as excited as I was to come into this organization with this fantastic program. I want to assure you, Capital Pathways remains a flagship program of Citizens League, and I know that our whole community is so deeply committed to this program. Our staff, our board, our hosts, our alumni, and the broader community. We are all deeply committed to ensuring this program continues to thrive. Am I right? Yes. So I will continue to support it. I hope you will too. Kalia invited you to consider a contribution to the program today. If you haven't made one yet, you still have time. Look, I didn't even have to say, like, there it is. There's our QR code, and if you would like to make a donation in an envelope, they're on your table, and our staff will be around to pick them up. So there's a couple ways to do that. You can also give online when you get home. And I know many of you in the room have already made a gift to this program. In fact, many gifts over the many years. So thank you. You are investing in the brave, bold leadership of this year's cohort and those students who will follow. So thank you. So a few acknowledgements as we wrap up today. First, our incredible staff, Laura, Jacob, Yvonne, Blanca, our interns, Noah and Yasmin, and especially Kalia, who leads this amazing program. Let's give them some love. Thank you to our student panelists and to Fatima for speaking today. Thank you to all of our host organizations. You are just such incredible partners and such a valuable, beloved part of making this program work. And especially, I know some of you have hosted for the whole 8 years, so you are just the winners. Thank you. Just appreciate you so much. Thank you to our friends at North Star Events for their help making this event so wonderful. Brasa for the amazing food, Mount Zion for this beautiful space that we're in today, flooded with sunlight. And finally, thank you to our program sponsors and donors who sponsored today's program. I am so proud of our students. I am excited to see where you go next. I do hope that you not only stay in touch with each other, stay in touch with us at Citizens League, and continue to support the next cohort of Capital Pathways students, and the next cohort, and the next cohort. We can't do it without you. So thank you all for coming tonight. Before I wrap it and we depart, I will ask our student cohort to come back up to the stage right now. We're gonna do a group photo. So do you want them to bring their certificates, Kalia? Yes, bring your certificate. and come on up to the stage. Students, thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.